Hello, welcome back. We have one last lesson here in the concept of zero and negative exponents in algebra. Here we're going to take the training wheels off a little bit. I've told you there's a couple of different ways to think about negative exponents. Writing them as fractions and then doing all the fraction manipulation is the bulletproof way to do it. That's the way I recommend starting to do it. And that's the way you would typically do it. You know, if you forgot everything else about the process here as we go along, if you just didn't know what to do, that's what you would do because you know it always works. But you also know now that when you have fractions with negative exponents in the top and the bottom, you can just move them to the bottom, move them to the top, making them positive exponents. So in these lessons, or in this lesson, we will take the training wheels off and we'll just do it that way. Because typically that's what you will really do when you get a little bit farther along in your learning, typically. So let's just jump right into it and you'll see what I'm talking about. What if we have x over y squared raised to the negative 1 times x to the negative 2 over y raised to the power of 2. So it's ugly, right? Now, there's lots of things you can do, right? You can, the bulletproof or the long form way is I could take this and I can write it as 1 over x squared, and then I have to deal with all of this, and then I manipulate everything, do all the fraction manipulation. However, if you look bigger picture, you see that you have something here times something else, but this something else has a negative 1 exponent. So you can think of this whole thing as having a fraction bar with a 1 on the bottom. This whole thing can be written as a 1 on the bottom. So I can take this entire term and move it to the bottom, making it a positive exponent here. And that's kind of the other way to do things. So what you're going to have in the numerator then will still be x to the negative 2 and still be, everything's the same over here. But I'm just going to take this whole term and move it downstairs. X over y squared, and it'll be raised to the first power. Move it down, make it to the first power. Because this is all joined as kind of a fraction over 1, like this. Okay? Now then, what do you do in the top? Of course, I could do it the way I've taught you before. Make this 1 over x squared, do the multiplication. However, I told you, and it's been a couple lessons, so you may not remember, but I'm telling you now again, when you see negative exponents, the rules are the same of the multiplication and all that stuff, the multiplication and addition rules of exponents are the same. It doesn't matter if the exponent is negative or positive. So here we have this exponent will be applied to the numerator, and it would be an exponent raised to an exponent. What do we do in that case? We multiply exponents. In other words, if this were x squared, it would be 2 times 2 is 4. But here it's x to the negative 2 squared, which means you multiply them, giving you negative 4. Negative 2 times the 2 is 4. So just because it's negative doesn't change the rule. On the bottom, y raised to the power of 2 just gets written as y squared.